Total tyranny is just unfolding. They've done spoofs on the web with Ayatollahs in Iran dubbed over saying the CIA killed Michael Jackson. You know, my gut probably says they did. I mean, this is perfect timing when he died. Perfect distraction. We know they killed Princess Diana. That's on record. We know they killed JFK. They're comparing him to those people. What a diversion. What a distraction. For the rest of the hour, Mike Rivero joins us once a month, and I appreciate Mike coming on the show today. He joins us via video cam from the Big Island out in Hawaii, up at PrisonPlanet.tv as we simulcast on the radio show. Mike, I want to get into Michael Jackson, but then stop there in the next segment and get into all the real issues that people aren't focused on while they're busy watching the spectacle of the snapping turtle.
Well, what's rather amazing is not that many people are watching, and I know going around the channels on the TV set, it looks like, you know, the big, huge presentation and a lot of corporate media coverage, but CNN's own online poll is showing that only about 20% of America are tuning in right now. Everybody else is fed up with it. They've got Michael Jackson burnout. They're actually, this is good for us. More and more people are coming to the blogs and the alternative media because they don't want to be inundated and saturated with the Michael Jackson memorial and funeral and everything. They see it as kind of a big joke. I mean, given the way that he lived his life, and now they're honoring him like he's a deity incarnate, as you said. They're trying to make him into this pseudo royalty. But he was an entertainer, and I liked his music, and I got to work with him on a couple of occasions. But he's just an entertainer, a musician, and he died of a drug overdose. There's hardly anything newsworthy in that, and they're trying to turn it into this big, huge media issue, and the public isn't buying it.
Well, Mike, I didn't know you worked with a snapping turtle.
I worked on a couple of his early rock videos. In fact, the first one was all the way back when he was still with the Jackson 5. And even then, I could see all the handlers surrounding him and all the agents and promoters and protectors and everything. And it was obvious then this was somebody who was never going to have a normal childhood. It's probably the reason for Neverland and all the rest of it, that he was trying to recapture the childhood he was never allowed to have growing up. But it was pretty obvious that he was in for a very rough ride, even all the way back then.
Trying to recapture the childhood, operative capture child in the spider web there. I mean, his father is admittedly an abuser. I mean, they admit that on the mainstream news. Have you seen the video of him vampirically driving in the car with a look of pleasure, just mindlessly basking in petty fame?
Oh yeah, well, everybody in the family, they're all hanging on here. They're all trying to capitalize and exploit this for their own promotion. And yeah, it's amazing. There are so many people trying to make money and trying to improve their own reputations off of this. But as I said before, CNN's own online poll is showing only about 20% of the people are tuning in. My guess is, since a lot of people who are not watching are not even bothering to log into the CNN poll, that the numbers may actually be a lot worse. I'm going to be taking a look at the actual industry numbers after this is all over and look back on it, but I don't think this is capturing the major piece of the audience that they were hoping.
But this has happened over and over again. They will continue to assault us with O.J. or Anna Nicole or whatever the new distraction is this week, even as the poll numbers drop, to keep all the real issues out of the news. And so when you're at a coffee shop, you got to hear people talking about Michael Jackson next to you. This is the establishment trying to set the agenda. They don't want to talk about auditing the Federal Reserve. They don't want to talk about wars in Pakistan and stage revolution in Iran. They don't want to talk about CIA coups in Honduras. They don't want to talk about 20% and growing unemployment. They don't want to talk about the dollar in free fall right now. They want us to talk about the king of the snapping turtles.
That's absolutely correct. And what's rather amazing, we've had some of our readers from our website who've been following the situation with Cynthia McKinney and the hijacking by Israel. They're calling TV stations like WABC TV, and they're being told by the newsroom, no, that is not news. Michael Jackson is the news. That is what we are covering. And they're literally refusing to acknowledge that there was this situation going on with Israel.
So we may never see Cynthia McKinney again, or maybe they'll firing squad her, and that won't even be news.
Well, supposedly she's on her way back to the United States, and Fox News finally did run a story saying she'd been released, which was immediately followed up with a whole bunch of posters and shills bad-mouthing Cynthia McKinney. But during the whole situation, I mean, if you contrast this with 2007 and the British sailors who wandered into Iranian waters, and it was headline news, are they okay? Will Iran mistreat them? How dare Iran capture these sailors?
Are they torturing them? You know, we're against torture here. We don't torture unless when we torture. Yeah, and I was joking about firing squad, folks. That's a joke before I get emails about it. I mean, it was a joke. Mike, stay there. Let's talk about the alternative media. More and more punching through the mainstream media. More and more we're setting the agenda. And so they're declaring us all terrorists. Big new developments on that front with Attorney General I Want Your Guns holder. It's also Butcher of Waco holder. He's got a long history.
This is Alex Jones. Have you heard of the Millionaire Patriot? Well, you should. He has a free handgun and 5 days of firearms training waiting for you. That's right. You can attend 5 days of world-class gun training at Front Sight Firearms Training Institute and secure a 30-state concealed weapons permit, all for pennies on the dollar. Plus, if you act fast, the Millionaire Patriot will give you a free Springfield Armory XD pistol in the caliber of your choice. I believe now is the time that you and your family need to be armed and trained to levels that exceed law enforcement and military standards. Front Sight provides such training without any boot camp mentality or drill instructor attitudes. This is real. Don't miss out. Secure a Front Sight defensive handgun course, plus a 30-state concealed weapons permit for pennies on the dollar, and get your free handgun. Go to frontsight.com today. That's FRONTSIGHT.com. Go to frontsight.com for your training and free gun.
Now, while we're talking about this, they've passed the global carbon tax in the House. It's probably going to pass the Senate. The hate crimes bill is supposedly going to be voted on as early as Thursday. We've got Reverend Ted Pike on tomorrow about that. We have the Federal Reserve has come out and announced they want a second bailout. They were already given unlimited funds in the first one, so that really it's not a bailout. It's new powers over the entire economy. We have them trying to pass a federalization of the entire United States under the guise of water, above ground and below ground. There's a bunch of other takeovers happening. Homeland Security is announcing that their number one mission is engaging the American people and that white Al-Qaeda is now the number one threat. The British government's announcing that. So basically, anybody who criticizes the Federal Reserve and the corrupt bankers, they're saying that is the terrorist. They've got a bill on the verge of passing the House, no fly, no buy, where over 1 million plus people are on this list. They put you on the list whenever they feel like it. But now the Attorney General, they're trying to pass a bill, can ban any gun he wants, ex cathedra, like the Pope makes canon law by uttering it. He just bans whatever guns he wants. It says including all guns if he wishes. Bill gives Attorney General power to designate gun owners, tax protesters as terrorists. A new bill where he'll, without even letting you know, he puts you on it. It says you can't find out. He puts you on the list. But I guess it was really already like that. They're just trying to get legal power now for the no fly, no buy, no live, no have a job. Homeland Security says if you're on that list, or even if you have bad credit, you're going to be on a no list, no fly, no buy, no travel, no have a job. I mean, this is literally putting the yellow stars on people and saying you can't have a job. I mean, it's now happening, Mike. I mean, I'm even blown away that it's actually all happening. Your comments on that?
Well, it does seem like the government is in a panic and they're trying to just get as many dictatorial powers passed as they possibly can. The situation of putting people on terror watch lists because their credit is bad, that's extremely dangerous right now because under the current economy, more and more people are seeing their credit ratings decline. We're looking at record delinquencies on home equity loans and home mortgages. We're looking at record defaults on credit cards. We're seeing all of these problems. All of these are going to impact people's credit ratings. And if you've got a bad credit rating and you're being declared a potential terrorist, then obviously all of these other problems are going to be multiplied by the actions of the federal government. As you were saying, there's this amendment to the 2010 military appropriations bill that's going to give the Attorney General the authority to declare tax protesters as potential terrorists and terror suspects. And the problem is the U.S. government got everybody to say, okay, torture is okay if you're torturing the terrorists. Now that they've got that, they got their foot in the door, they're lowering the bar for what constitutes a terrorist so that more and more people can be put in there. And the government's going to say, well, you said it was okay to suspend the Bill of Rights for terrorists, and now you're all terrorists, so here we are. And it does feel like they're pushing as hard and as fast as they can. It feels more like panic than plan to me.
Well, that's a really good point. And if people think I'm joking about bad credit, you're put on the terror list, they made it secret 7 months ago in January. Hard to believe we're already into the 7th month of 2009. So 7 months ago, they made it secret. And it had 1,200,000+ on it then. And they were adding 24,000 on average a month. And federal marshals were in the Denver Post saying, we're just ordered, if somebody takes a picture of their kid on the plane, to go ahead and put them in a terror database for the rest of their life. If you have bad credit, people are on it. And they're admitting you can't get off of it. They won't tell you how they put you on it. So that's being litigated. So just like when wiretapping came out, and it came out they were warrantlessly wiretapping the American people in non-terror-related cases even, they just went and retroactively passed a law, just like retroactively passing a torture law. Now they're just trying to retroactively say the Attorney General's God, no judge, no jury. You don't know why you're on the list. You don't know you're on a list till you try to fly. Now they're saying can't go in national parks, can't have a job. Under the Real ID Act, if you're on that list, can't have a job.